we're back to another episode of Let's Play Final Fantasy IV Redo. I'm your host, the RPG Guy. One more bonus dungeon to go for now. There's still another one in the game, and we do have to go back to the Sylph Cave much later in the game. I could do it right away. But much later in the game. But right now, we reach the Eidolon Cave, or I call them Eidolons. I know it's Eidolon, but fuck that. The passage through this way when I left this. I passed through this passageway when I left the Feymarch. We should seek out Leviathan and the others and ask for their aid. Word. You know what? I'm gonna make one little change to Redia's summon layout because it's been driving me nuts that Ifrit is right there. Should be. I usually put them in some kind of order. And that's close, because this is a non-elemental. The other option is to really just do this. I guess I could have done it in the beginning. And put the weird shit kind of down in this area. That way I can get to it faster. Alright, let's move. So we're floating, because you would take damage on this floor. This dungeon is much shorter than the Sylph Cave. And the enemies are just as big of a group of douchebags. They're arguably not as bad, but that is very open to debate as we're fighting a group of Blood Eyes who must die a painful, embarrassing death. Dragon's a good thing to hit them with, I believe. So we'll see here. I don't think they'll like it. We'll keep Rose on standby in case death starts rearing its ugly head. No, not the gaze! Luckily, they're just focusing on him, though. Look at that. It actually was strong enough to kill two of them outright, so fucking A. Well, not kill two of them outright. I think they both took damage. So, a dragon plus some melee will wound them pretty good. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that the items in this dungeon are kind of spread out, but the enemies here are a lot easier to manage than the enemies in the Sylph Cave. Yeah, just killed those fools with melee only. Pretty much didn't need to use dragon that other time, I guess. Because I was just wanting to burn through the fight fast. Or more quickly. And there are some secret passages, but most of them, excluding one or two, I think there's two secret passages that you don't want to ignore. Okay, this guy, hit him with magic, he hits your whole party with silence. Easy as pie just to melee attack this guy into the ground. He's not interesting. Even when I think they even sometimes attack in pairs, they're not that interesting. Aficionado is unlocked. Probably means I'm good at killing things with extreme prejudice. Alright, let's head all the way over to this side. Make sure that we unlock and make sure that we, open the map up. Alright, we got all that. Wait a minute. What am I missing? God damn it. I'm missing something on this floor. And it's not a stairwell either. I missed touching something. Mapping-wise. Where did I miss something on the map? Okay. Again, we need to kind of go back and make sure that we mapped everything. I have a feeling I didn't map the, little line where the entrance is because of that cutscene that moved us forward, baby. Let's check it out. No. That's weird. Okay, so that's mapped, actually. So there's somewhere else that I'm missing. Let me wander around the map for a little bit. I'll do this off screen until I figure out where the fuck I didn't go. But, actually, you know what? It might be down in the bottom right corner area. Alright. Oh, god damn it. Yeah, Cecil got killed by the insta-death attack. It's funny, because I usually leave him dead when that happens. And the reason I don't mind leaving him dead... Okay, it's not down there. The reason I don't mind leaving him dead... The reason I don't mind leaving him dead is that it kind of pays off in the end. because it allows Rosa and Rydia and Edge to kind of catch up in levels with him. You notice I didn't mention Kane. Oh, did I miss this? I totally missed this. God damn it. Alright. Now, what did I miss here? Oh, yeah, Ether. Forgot about that Ether. Almost. Okay, obtained a Soma drop. Sweet. We'll talk about those two. So let's talk about them now, and then I'll tell you what the problem is, since we have this long little walk back to go. Silver apples, and there's a better variant called gold apples, increase permanently a character's HP. By silver apples, I think, are 50, and gold apples are 100. And Soma drops raise MP by 10, I think. It's very little that they do. Alright. And these items, many people debate who to give them to. It's usually pretty easy to figure out, though. And a lot of people debate on who to use them on. I don't know why there's that much of a debate. It should be rather obvious who's most deserving of those item bonuses. And usually I split the apples between Rosa and Rydia. Rydia usually gets more apples than Rosa does. And then the Soma drops are always the hardest thing to decide. Those things are so annoying to figure out who to give it to. It's hard to say. A lot of people give them to Rydia. And I can see why. Rydia's magic costs huge, vast amounts more MP than Rosa's does, and she doesn't usually get as much MP as Rosa. Or they get similar MP. They're about 40 MP or so apart from each other. So they get relatively similar MP. So you have to figure out whose MP is the most important. Most people actually, from my experience, try to argue that Rosa's the better person to get it. And there's a good reason to say that. There is a good reason to believe that, too. If you're one of those Rosa-ists that are out there. Yeah, there's some people that make such a big stink about it that they make jokes like that. And I'm not one of them, but I am going to make that little fun point at it. Now, this is a bad idea, because then they're going to try to silence the party. I think we'll be okay. Nothing a few melees can't handle. And, so the Soma drops. And the reason why a lot of people believe Rosa should be the better candidate is because Rosa has no way of replenishing MP, where technically Rydia does. I've never gone to a point in the game where it's like my MP is so shitty that I need to have the Soma drops all loaded up on Rosa. I mean, I usually am more wandering around with dry ethers, or even regular ethers for that matter, that'll give me enough MP to get me at least to the next save point in a dungeon. So I really am one of those guys that doesn't really care who I give it to. To me, there's no benefit one over the other. Ah, yes, summoners. They can summon all kinds of random shit. Just take them out. And as you can see, this goblin was the random shit it decided to summon. They can summon dragons as well, so don't think too lightly of them, but don't expect much from them either. Very uneventful fight, for the most part. Because they usually summon things like goblins, or they'll summon, I want to say an arachne, but the Naga Raja they'll summon. I'm sorry, I couldn't think of the name of it. And it wasn't visually the same thing. Alright, and anyway, so like I said, it's really more or less your preference. When it comes to Soma drops, and like I said, I'm probably one of the more unpopular choices because I'm not dedicating my Soma drops to one character. I usually load them up, I usually split them even between Rosa and Rydia. And that gives them each a few extra heal casts. It gives Rosa, by the end of the game, once we've found them all, it gives Rosa a few extra heals, and it gives Rydia a few extra, a few extra Aga spells, maybe 2 Aga spells by the time we're done. And like I said, some people like to give them to Edge too, because Edge could use the MP bonus. Again, that's on you to figure out. Some people like to give them to Cecil too, the Soma drops, to give him more MP to heal himself out of battle. Again, I give half to Rydia, half to Rosa, and I usually decide this once I usually start doling them out as we get closer to the final dungeon. I like you notice I'm not doling them out now as I'm getting them, which kind of defeats some of the purpose, arguably, because you would say, well, why aren't you giving them out now? Why don't you give it to them now when they, you know, definitely, obviously need it? Again, I'm hesitant because of variables. The variables that are involved in it. Again, like, if Rosa gets killed off in a boss fight, she'll be... And here's the other reason why it's better to wait, too. If Rosa or Rydia get killed off in a boss fight or something, and then you end up beating the boss, one of the annoying things that tends to happen is that now their levels are staggered. And so one is clearly better off than the other. Usually Rosa's the one that survives fights more or less than Rydia, but that just depends on how you play. Alright. And like I said, so I wait towards endgame because if for any reason Rosa or Rydia get unbalanced in levels, right now they're roughly about the same level. They're within a level of each other. Rydia usually levels before Rosa for some weird reason. In this playthrough, normally I can get them within a couple hundred XP of each other, but this time around not so much. Okay, so let's talk about these idiots. These are the most goofiest enemies in this dungeon. This is a dungeon that requires you to float in order to not take damage, right? Okay, we're all on page with that. So this enemy's claim to fame on attack is they use Quake, which we are immune to because we're currently floating. I don't know if the designers of the game did it just to remind you that you need to float in order to get through the dungeon without taking damage. And that's probably what they did. Again, remember back in the oldie times, every once in a while a game did something that was out of the ordinary or new in an idea. So like a poison floor that was in a game like this, they had to maybe spoon feed to you that the only way to dodge it is to be floating. Again, I'm not going to put that much thought into it, but great little fight for XP. Look at that. Pretty much free 5 grand right there. They come in pairs and sometimes they come in singles. Deal with them how you feel is best. Oops, I meant to do just him, but whatever. Alright, so anyway, like I said, I like to wait towards endgame, and this is kind of the same thing with the silver apples. Giving it to, or the apples, giving it to them now does them pretty good use now. It'll help them now, yay, that's great, I get that. I could easily divide them now as soon as we finish this, you know, this dungeon and do everything that's here. Then maybe we can go and tackle that. But right now, it's better, I think, to wait until I'm sure as hell ready to invest in it. Alright, these guys are weak to water, I believe, and the only one that can cast water is Edge, so I don't really bother. We just melee him down, throw Blizzaga out, or Blizzaria. That usually helps. He's not weak to it, mind you, but it's a little bit of extra damage just to get him going. But of all the dragons, this one's usually the most uneventful. Other than he just hits you with really strong lightning magic. And remember, kids, this is going to be the dumbest thing you probably hear me say, because I'm sure most of you do know, there's no such thing as a thunderbolt, okay? There's lightning, and then thunder is the rumbly sound that is made. It's that loud kind of rumble when you have a storm. There is no such thing as a thunderbolt. It is a lightning bolt. Thunderbolts and lightning? Yeah, I know. I know. Or maybe there is such a thing as a thunderbolt, but my understanding is that there is no such thing. When I took geology, you learn about weather in that class. I mean, they teach you about, you know, how weather works and stuff. And I remember one of my professors making fun of people because they kept writing thunderbolt on the page, saying there's no such thing as a thunderbolt. Stop writing it in there. Stop. Don't call. You need to stop calling it that. And then I said, well, I've seen meteorologists call them thunderbolts. And he kind of leans back and he goes, look, in all technicalities, it's lightning. It's a bolt of lightning. Thunder. And see, this is debatable too. This is, I don't know. I'm going to look this up. I'm going to look this up and have an answer for you guys in a couple of episodes from now. Is there such thing as a thunderbolt, or is it really just people mislabeling shit? It's like people I know that say, what is the term? Oh, there's a term for it. Oh, God, I can't think of it. It's not really a word. Oh, God, I can't think of the name of it. We're going to put the poison axe here. May as well. And we picked up, oh yeah, the other Kiku Ichimonji. I mean, I could be totally wrong too. I mean, that's just what I was taught in college. My professor could be totally wrong. But thunder is the rumbling of what you hear, and a lightning bolt is what actually strikes the ground and causes fire and destruction and chaos. Okay, I got your answer for you. I decided to look into it after getting practically murdered by a group of eyeball fuckers, which is fine. Okay, so here's what you need. Here's what you need to know. A thunderbolt is whenever lightning occurs, and there is a bolt there's that crash that comes with it, that accompanies it. However, this is something that has been applied more recently. The term thunderbolt is mostly used in mythological terminology, as there was no explanation for what lightning was at the time, and we couldn't, replicate it or anything like that. But apparently the debate is pretty open that there should be these two labels, thunderbolt and lightning bolt. Most scientists believe that there are just lightning bolts. Thunderbolt is just a terminology used for mythology or used as a label for something iconic. But thunder is the rolling, roaring sound that you hear during a storm, and the lightning bolt is what comes out. And you can have thunder and lightning. Right, we've heard people make that term before. Oh my god, we're seeing thunder, we have thunder and lightning going on outside right now. Yeah, that's a legit statement, but to say we have thunderbolts and lightning bolts is kind of silly and borderline redundant. I mean, it's very redundant if you really think about it. Because, well, yeah, a lightning bolt is just a thunderbolt is just a lightning bolt with thunder behind it. But usually, in most cases that I've ever experienced, they usually come hand in hand. But then again, I'm not gonna step on anybody's toes. If you're a meteorologist or you are a geologist who studies weather, there are geologists do study weather in college. Try to confirm that for me. Talk to your professors in meteorology and just see what kind of faces they make when you ask this question. Alright, let's keep moving. Now there's ways to get around this here. Let's go this way. There's actually still a good chest to find here. We gotta find it, we will. It's actually a good weapon upgrade for Cecil here. Alright, let's keep moving. Making sure we open up all the dungeon. There we go. The final floor is complete. Along with this, and an enemy ambush. Again, one of these fights. Nothing that we haven't done already. Alright, so let's take a look at our reward here. The Ogre Killer now loses its flair because the Defender is a stronger sword. It does reduce strength, but the axe gave us the strength anyway. It reduces accuracy as well, but it brings back up spirit, intellect, stamina, and speed, so that's all good stuff. The real perk is, look at that, 20 points of defense. That one there makes a good sword. The Defender is probably really one of the best reasons to attempt the dungeon of the Sylph Cave itself, but you're about to see the real perk of coming down here. As far as gear goes, items and gear go, that Defender at this current point of the game is a pretty kick-ass sword. Alright. And in this we go, because this is really the treasure of the deepness, the deep, dark place that is the Feymarch. So we've reached the Feymarch. This is the place that Redia actually spoke of. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff here, but more importantly, one of the better weapons for Rosa can be found here. We'll get to that, I guess, now. See a reason not to. I think it's here. As this leads here. Now, don't touch the blue portal. Always use the pink until you're ready to leave this place. But we're gonna get the Yoichi arrows, elixir, dry ether, and the Yoichi bow. Let's take a look at that. The Yoichi bow, look at that. Speed, accuracy goes up pretty good, and attack goes up 10. I was looking at the arrow. Look at that. 100 and 100. So finally, Rosa's catching up to the damage of Edge and Edge and Rose and Cecil and Kane. She's only off by 5 right now. Unfortunately for her, though, Kane and Edge and Cecil will quickly pull away from her, whereas she will stay a bit stagnant. But currently, that's pretty damn good, right? Maybe. Okay. Anywho, that's not what we're here for either. Primarily, there's some cool stuff here, one must admit, and we've got some effort to make it come to our realization of acquiring it. It's not going to come to us for free. We're going to get it. Now, the rat tail needs some explanation, but don't worry about it right now. Just know that we got the rat's tail. This is easily one of the most important items to find down here, for various reasons, of course, but it is a very important item. Do not fucking leave home without it. Alright, let's use the inn. I'd rather conserve my tents and cabins, personally. This is 1,200 to stay. I guess it would be cheaper to use a tent, but I want a full heal now. We'll use tents for the minor healing that we're going to need to do in a little bit. Wait, there's random battles down here? No, they're not random battles, but there are things that we want to do here. Alright, first things first, there's an armor shop and a weapon shop. And we're gonna exploit the fuck out of those. And we'll get a luminous robe for Rosa, up at the 20,000 range, and an Aegis shield for Cecil, which has perks of its own, mind you. Let's get Rosa squared away first. Look at that. The only thing it doesn't really give her much is spirit, but it builds her intellect up, which is fine. And it gives her all much better defense than what she's got. And you can see that's exactly the same item that Redia has, making the Sage's Surplus obsolete. Which, really, we've been using Sage's Surpluses since pretty much the beginning of the fucking game, right? So, it's about time we started seeing, some armor changes for our healers. There's a Blitz Whip here. The Chain Whip's an upgrade, but the Blitz... I'm going to grab the Blitz Whip, but we're not going to equip it on Redia for now. For now. I might do stuff with it later, but for now, we're not going to bother. We can buy Shurikens, which I've not even fucking decided to use yet. The ones that we bought. And the rest of the stuff is negligible. You don't really need it. Alright. With that said and done, let's go save. There's actually a place to save here. For fucking good reason, of course. Thank God. Thank God they let you save here, bro, because if they didn't, it'd be kind of fucked up. So, let's see. Bestiary for us. Caught Phoenix down. If you're playing the DS version, by the way, this is White's house. Like I said, White is not that interesting. They added it to the DS version. He only appears, I believe, in the Nintendo DS version. He doesn't appear in this version of the game. They took him out, I think, because they thought, oh, he'll be really popular, and everybody was like, no, White's really fucking stupid! And so they took it out for this version. It's very apparent they did. Well, no, they took it out because you need the touchpad. No, that's bullshit. You don't need the touchpad to use White. I assure you. They had fucking other issues, is what it was. And the issue primarily was them not being liked. Your Majesty. Redia, it is good to see you again and well. Please, Your Majesty, we have need for your strength. Then I shall lend it to you, but you must... But you know I must first test your own. It is the code, and the code must be observed. Have you the courage and strength to face me? Fuck yeah. This isn't a hard fight. Normally it's not. It depends on the timing of how the first 2-3 rounds go for you. But in general practice, this isn't a hard fight. And you'll see what we do. Yeah. So she pops a protect on herself because she's a bitch. So you can already start seeing an issue with this fight. She's an asshole. She also likes to do counters and stuff like that. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to dual cast Dispel on her to remove her perks. And then we're going to put Reflect on her. I didn't want to attack her yet because her strongest ability is to actually to actually counterattack. That's really what she does in this fight to piss you off the most. The summon dragon, because I don't think dragon is reflectable. Pretty sure it's not. But you notice I'm not letting Kain attack yet. Edge just kind of hangs out in this fight. You'll see what we do in a minute, though, as this battle kind of rages on here. I know I'm skipping the summon scenes, but you guys seen this shit all before. Alright, so where's Rydia here? Alright, let's go ahead and dual cast again. We're going to put two things up. We're going to put, if I can find the damn thing here, we're going to put, excuse me, haste on Rydia, because she's going to be the major damage dealer. And I know I have it here, blink on Cecil, which will allow Cecil to heal himself after that last hit, even though he probably doesn't need to, but just to stay on the safe side. And we'll just show off some of this too. May as well. And just dragging the entire fight. And now that he's got that skill on him, we'll have Kain go ahead and throw an attack in as well. No point in not letting him do a little fight. And just kind of keep Rosa on the wings for whenever you need healing or you need to recast Blink. Those are really the things you have to keep in mind in this entire battle. So watch, you'll see what happens here. Counterattack. Blink is gone. So look at how quickly I'm kind of trying to beat Johnny on the spot with the blink. Could even have Kain jump. Not that it really matters that much. It's really just easier to just summon Dragon a few times and make this battle end that way. Which it's about to. Maybe 2 more Dragon summons or so, this battle's over. It's weird because in other variations of the game, Dragon is dwarfed. The Mist Dragon is dwarfed. In the original game, the Mist Dragon's pretty beefy. So it just depends on what version of the game. If you're not doing this version, I would say use Fire 3. No, not Fire 3. Titan. If you reflected summoning magic is coming back and hitting you, there's other things you could do instead. And look at that. The battle's won. That wasn't a hard fight. The next fight, however, is the polar fuck opposite. Some people consider it to be a kind of a nightmare fight, depending on your level and your survivability. Alright, so we got some level ups to move around there. Sweet Rydia, those are good companions you have found, both strong and true. Allow me too to lend my strength to your cause. Summon me whenever you need. Ashura, depending on what version of the game you're playing, is a good summon or a shitty summon. She randomly does 3 things. Pop Protect, Pop Raise on all the characters, or Pop Curaga. Or, yeah, Curaga on everybody. So it's Rydia's only way of healing early on. Again, that's not saying much. And I know for those of you making a joke about what I missed already, I'm gonna say this up front. We have to go back through there anyway at some point, so I'm gonna do it then. There is actually a better spell for Rydia to use for the sake of healing. It's the Sylph summon. I just didn't talk to the Sylphs enough to warrant it, but you don't get it yet anyway. So I don't know. Just as a heads up, I remember in my old LP of this, or I'd streamed this or something, somebody had complained to me that, oh, you didn't get the summon. You can't get the summon yet, so fucking relax. Actually, is that true? Yeah, we don't have the key item. We can't get the summon yet. We get it later. So fucking calm your tits, alright? Somebody said there's this glitch that lets you get it early. No, there's not a fucking glitch. You made the glitch in the code of the game itself. It doesn't exist in the game. I've played this game so many fucking times, I'm pretty sure it's not a glitch in any version. Maybe in this version, because it's the only one, this is the only blind variation I've ever played. But in general practice, just no. Alright, so we'll use our 2 tents here. I'll speed through this for you guys. I might need one more. Okay, so we're ready to go. All healed up. We're all healed up. We're all healed up. And Gil is important too, because there's actually a shop, a hidden shop in the game where however much Gil you've saved up will probably pay off pretty well for you in the long run as far as dealing with the last dungeon. So I don't want to spend more money than I need to. Dear child, you are the first and only to best my lady queen, but strength of arm alone will aid you little in the face of true evil. Without the strength of will to keep it aligned on the proper course, all the power in the world amounts to nothing. My spirit has been tempered and honed in this forge of the forge of the ages. Will you face me knowing what it means to do so? And thus we fight Leviathan. Now this is the actual harder battle of the two. This is a ridiculously structured battle. So let me explain this, because this is going to go by really fast, and I want to make sure that I cover everything with you on what we do here. Cecil may be the only one, and maybe Rosa are going to be the only two probably to survive this attack. Actually, they all did, except Edge, which is fine. Spider Silk first. Okay, and then with Rosa, we're gonna have her dual cast Raise, followed by a Curaga or even Curaja, since she can do it. So let's get it going here. Let's our Curaja is probably better because we can do it faster. So let's do it'll take less time to do. Summon Ramu here, yay. Kane will cry, and Cecil will attack. Because there's a pattern that he usually follows, and if we can keep ahead of the pattern, we'll be okay. So that's the issue here. If you're ever in doubt of what to do, you know, in this version you can pause or just sit in a menu and think about your strategy before you do it. But we should be fine at this juncture for right now. We're also going to haste Rydia, because she's going to be the one that dictates the speed of this fight and how quickly we can get through it. Dual cast, haste, and Curaga. And just don't worry about jumping with Kane, just go for the attacks. What am I doing? Summon, you bitch. Just keep the attacks coming. Jump may save you from Tidal Wave or Tsunami, whichever version you're playing. I just recommend that you keep the pressure on. And don't back off. Don't use jump. Maybe use jump after he uses Blizzaga on us, because right now he's going to hit us with Blizzaga twice. If he hits us with Blizzaga, the next attack's going to be the nasty Tidal Wave attack or Tsunami attack. That might be the time to jump him, but until then, don't bother with it. And look at that! The battle is won! This is known notoriously for being the hardest fight down here. But if you know what you're doing going in and you structure everything that you do, round for round, turn for turn of every character, you should come out unscathed. Mostly unscathed. You saw that Edge took a pretty nasty hit, but that's just going to happen, so you deal with it. But you notice that we did pretty good, we had very little issue with it, and we done good. We done good. Let's take a look at our new delicious summons here. So we've got Ashura for random results, and Leviathan, who is a water elemental. So now Rydia finally has water magic, so she is on par with Edge for elemental damage type, which is very important. So go that, you know, excellent that. But like I said, and I'll repeat it and reiterate it one last time, that fight can be really nasty, especially if you're at a much lower level. If you're in the level 40-ish area, by all means, I would arguably use the same strategy, but instead of hasting Rydia, use Raise followed by Kuraja just to get everybody up and doing damage, specifically getting Rydia up first. Don't worry about hasting, and I'd leave Kain down. Okay, there's a passive reason to this, and I don't want to ruin it, but for those of you who haven't somehow not played this game, there is a trick to it that works in a low-level player's favor, but if Kain's the least important person to resurrect in that fight. Alright, so let's go to use the healing pot. Healing pot. Healing pot. Alright. Healing pot, does what other pots cannot. Heal my wounds, give me MP, make me stronger than all thee. Look out, here comes my healing pot. And look at that. That's just the side dungeons alone have given us an average of 4 levels. And allowed for Rosa and Rydia to catch up to Cecil a little bit because I just left him dead in a couple of fights where he easily got gibbed. Look at that. 160 XP from next level. Wow. Talk about getting gypped. Alright, but there's not much else to do at this current juncture. And thus means, ladies and gentlemen, the fun of side questing, for the time being, is over. If you haven't skipped ahead to the story arc by skipping this episode and the episode before it, you know that our next stop is here. And there will be shit to deal with here. It's an interesting dungeon. There's actually a really neat little set of tricks here to get some easy XP. You don't want to miss out on that. We'll show that on the next episode of Let's Play Final Fantasy IV. I am your host, the RPG Guy. Subscribe, follow, join the, support the channels you guys enjoy watching. It helps us and inspires us to continue doing what we do today. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you guys next time. Bye!
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Please take a moment to check out more episodes from the RPG Guy, Tuesday Night Team Up, and more. And please subscribe. Always support the channels you enjoy watching, and while you're at it, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Google+. Keep on gaming hard. See you next time.